you.
Oh, I have to make sure this. There we go.
I'll hide my video.
I may introduce you briefly, so it'd be good to have your video.
Oh, you want me on? Okay.
Yeah, just right at the very beginning, if you can. Julie and Maya, same thing, if we can get you, we're letting people in now? I guess.
Yes, you see 60 people are coming in. We've started recording. We're here.
Okay, well, I guess we're official now. We're recording, and my name is Greg Niemeyer. I'm really happy to be part of a course at UC Berkeley called Letters and Sciences 25, which is all about creativity and community. And it's an introductory course that is meant to expose our students to the many ways in which we can build creativity through community, and vice versa, build community through creativity. And I'm here together with my fellow instructor and professor, Lisa Wymore, who's a professor of dance and performance studies, and with two of our amazing grad students in the art practice program, Julie Barbosa and Anna-Maya Farthing-Cole, who are going to be guiding our students through their sections and exercises after the lecture. And of course, I'm here to introduce our speaker today, Petra Linhart-Tova, but it would be unfair to introduce her without first thanking Evelyn Thorne for setting up the whole webinar, which was a lot of work and always takes a lot of preparation, more than it seems on the end of the audience. So thank you, Evelyn, for doing all this work. And indeed, it's a great pleasure to introduce our speaker, Petra Linhart-Tova, because Petra is a curator, but also a water keeper. And by water keeper, I mean that she's one of the people who keep our water, look out for our water, who are stewards for our water. And she does that through culture. She helps tell stories similar to the story of the pharaohs and the Nile, similar to the story of the local creek we have here, Strawberry Creek, that we try to cultivate and that we try to integrate into our courses as much as possible. And similar to the story of every ocean-bound piece of plastic and how it leaves our society, or our use in society, and enters into a completely different society, the society of the oceans, and disrupts things there. And so she helps tell stories about these water bodies, and specifically the ocean, as a curator at a foundation dedicated to the oceans and water in general. It's called TBA 21. The Thyssen-Bornemisza Art Contemporaries leading international art advocacy foundation, created in 2002 by the philanthropist and collector Francesca Thyssen-Bornemisza, representing the fourth generation of the Thyssen family's commitment to the arts and public service. The TBA 21 Foundation, based in Madrid and in Vienna, stewards the TBA 21 collection and its outreach activities, which include exhibitions, public programming, and partnerships with other cultural and civic institutions, all for the benefit of building a stronger culture and awareness around the fragility and the essential necessity that humans have for good water, and the fragility of the water circulations around us. So please help me welcome Petra Linhart-Tova in talking about watering our ways of thinking. Thank you so much for coming, and welcome.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you for a nice introduction and for having me. So my name is Petra, and I'm actually not a curator. I'm head of digital and innovation at TBA 21 and TBA 21 Academy. And I'm responsible for our digital ecosystem. And a big part of my task is to think of mediation strategies in our digital spaces, and how we can provide audience with an engaging, personalized, and perhaps shareable learning experience. And because I come from an organization focused on ocean conservation through the lens of art, if there is one thing that we've learned, it's that the ocean demands a different state of mind. And on the next slides, I'm going to show what I mean by that, and how you could potentially benefit from this way of thinking. And so I'm going to share with you 3 curatorial approaches to thinking about and with the ocean, as well as the challenges that we have faced manifesting these strategies and concepts within digital interfaces and beyond traditional frameworks. I will also tackle how can we build proximity with others in digital spaces, And maybe as a side effect, you will also understand why someone as I, who was born and raised in the Czech Republic, in the heart of Europe, with no access to sea, got passionate about the ocean, and also realized that to try to protect the ocean doesn't necessarily need to be something heavy and hopeless, but in fact, saving the oceans can be also fun. So as Greg already gave us a quite great introduction to what TBA21 is, maybe I can skip this part, and I'm just sharing with you some images from our spaces and from our activities. So you can see Ocean Space. That is our venue in Venice, in Italy, and we opened it in 2019. You can also see some performances, some concerts, explorations that we've done. And maybe a little bit more about the academy. I will let actually our director, Markus Reimann, who founded TBA21 Academy together with Francesca Thyssen, to kind of introduce you, because their vision and dedication is quite infectious. So I think it would be good if you hear a few words from him directly. So Evelyn, if you could play the first video.
I'm not hearing any sound.
Yeah, there's no sound.
When you share your screen, you have to turn on the sound option. So that happens sometimes. Let's try that again. Let's just imagine ocean sounds in the meantime.
The sound didn't work. That's what we're hearing.
Yes. So when you share your screen, please turn on share sound as well, or optimize for video and share sound.
Yeah, we know. This is what we practiced earlier.
I know.
Yeah, no, and the option doesn't exist anymore. So anyway, this is what we checked the other day or earlier. This is
Organization and a cultural ecosystem.
okay. All right. Great.
Perfect.
Hello, my name is Markus Reimann, and I'm the director of TBA21 Academy. TBA21 Academy is a contemporary art organization and a cultural ecosystem fostering a deeper relationship to the ocean through the lens of art to inspire care and action. We acknowledge the ocean as a living entity with a multitude of voices. We're committed to listening to these voices and to learn from them. We dedicate our work to them being heard. But the starting point of all of our work is the transformative experience of spending time together on, in, and by the ocean. Time devoted to process and exchange in and with local communities and with a global scope. From there, we instigate intersectional and collaborative research, artistic production, and new forms of knowledge. Especially today, it is important to emphasize the intersectionality of our work, as we believe that environmentalism and social justice are inextricably linked. We broadly organize our work into 3 activities: research, exhibition and programming, and education and mediation. These initial experiences at sea are then developed through our fellowship program, the Current and Ocean Fellowship, and our long-term research commissions. But all of our work is long-term, process-oriented, and collaborative, bringing together artists, indigenous colleagues, scientists, legal experts, and many others, and taking into account the spheres of science, policy, conservation, and education. We believe that for the radical changes needed to slow down the climate crisis, we need as much a cultural response to inspire communities of care and concern as we need political buy-in for meaningful policies. Throughout the years, we've experienced the ocean as an incredibly segregated space for matters of ownership, national security, proprietary information of commercial enterprises or research initiatives. And we even found ocean conservation to be highly competitive with a limited access to funding for a few, which makes large-scale alliances for positive change tremendously difficult. Designed to be a pedagogical, collaborative, and storytelling tool, free and accessible to all, Ocean Archive translates current knowledge about the ocean into a shared language that enables us to make better decisions about urgently needed policies. In the current global pandemic, a large portion of our program has been unfolding on the Ocean Archive in the form of online talks, panel discussions, digital presentations, and sound installations. And on the archive, you can find much more content, such as videos, podcasts, artworks, and research papers from our collaborators and beyond. And not only that, you can also actively contribute and encourage others to share their work. Ocean Archive is constantly evolving and developing as a site for transdisciplinary discussions with artists, scientists, policymakers, and many more. And especially through our latest edition, the Ocean Community, which is an online forum for oceanic discussions on topics spanning from academic discourses, petitions, and opportunities for action to sharing recommendations on oceanic culture. All these endeavors are focused on a single yet complex mission: to see a world where everyone cares for the ocean, as the ocean is our greatest ally in fighting the climate crisis. We do this by creating experiences based on proximity, collaboration, long-term engagement, and most importantly, care. The Academy strives to be an agent of change, working with an international network of institutions. We're, for example, the only cultural institution to hold an observer status at the International Seabed Authority. We've been invited to join the Advisory Council of the European Union's Mission Board for Healthy Oceans, and we're actively engaged in collaborations with UNESCO and the European Commission. We believe these collaborations are an important part of our practice. Bringing together art, science, and advocacy is where the speculative power of art can have a tangible, positive impact on both behavior and policies.
So who doesn't have more time than what you already invested? This was basically in a nutshell, kind of the main message. And as Marcus nicely opened the methodology that Academy is using and living, this methodology is kind of manifesting digitally through our platform Ocean Archive. So we always like to say that it's a digital embodiment of the oceanic thinking. And this digital ecosystem investigates the potential of storytelling and transdisciplinary collaboration within and beyond archival practices by employing the formats of imaginative responses, artistic expressions, collaborative research, various educational activities, and policy interventions. Basically, we strive to expand the critical ocean literacy and supports collaboration across disciplines, because we would like to see the world where everyone cares for the ocean. We really want to connect. So the primary goal of Ocean Archive is to serve as a global ocean resource for creative narratives and research through the lens of art and culture to inspire for the care. We want to collaborate. So we want to make a space that can amplify discoverability and collaboration And we want to highlight underrepresented voices and pedagogies. And we want to promote open data. We also want to act. So Ocean Archive is trying to align the community and that the members can find each other, they can connect, collaborate around the challenges that we are facing. Because we see art as an agent of change for the ocean. The Ocean Archive is not only our digital venue, it is also a user-based platform in the making. So we really want to break down the boundaries between disciplines, between the various media and formats, and kind of the core functionalities of Ocean Archive. It is an ocean culture catalyst. It is constantly evolving platform, digital organism for decentralized dialogue, research, creative narratives, and knowledge sharing. It is a content aggregator where you can easily find, discover, and share the content. It is also an educational tool for online and remote learning for higher education. What is really crucial for us is that we promote open access data. We really want to create a collaborative publishing network. We want to give users the possibility to make their work accessible to wider audience, to also use, for instance, knowledge that we are producing. And that relates that everything is governed, or almost everything on the platform is governed under Creative Commons. And kind of the biggest advantage also of the digital space is that it's accessible to all, and next to the ocean, next to the internet access, you don't need anything more. So I will now present you three significant curatorial approaches to thinking about and with the ocean, as well as the challenges that curators, artists, researchers, but also us faced manifesting these strategies and concepts within digital interfaces. The first one, ocean as an art space, opens up with the concept kind of defined by Chus Martinez, a Spanish curator, who discusses the potentiality of the ocean as an art space for art, while pointing towards new forms of learning in accordance with an oceanic sensitivity. The use case I'm going to share with you elaborates on the importance of storytelling and embodied sensorial practices in the work of Taloy Habini, who is an indigenous artist and curator born and raised in the autonomous region of Bougainville, and she's currently based in Brisbane in Australia. This case also introduces the archival approach to telling unheard stories of marginalized communities, thinking of the ocean as a space for art and culture and pursue to de-imperialize or de-colonize the ocean. So I'll play you now a 3 minutes video where you can see Chus Martinez and Taloy Habini speaking about the work.
This work by Taloy Habini, Answer to the Call, is a 22-channel sound installation that is based on an exploratory voyage that Taloy took with the Schmidt Ocean Institute aboard of the Falkor, which was doing a high-resolution mapping exercise of the Great Barrier Reef. And when she realized that they're mapping the ocean floor through sound and the speed of sound through the water column, she realized that her ancestors were doing the same thing by mapping the space and time through stories and through instruments.
When you walk into the space, you'll be greeted with an ultramarine, indigo, and cobalt tonal experience of colors. And this refers to the depths, the shallow depths that we as humans experience. And in this space is a primary platform, which is the island of Buka, and that's where my ancestry comes from. And so as an artist, I'm inviting people to come into this space, but also to experience the depth and vastness of Oceania.
I'm so mad.
I decided to work with Taloy Habini because she's an artist of the Pacific, and I thought that nobody but her could embody an idea of what indigenous knowledges, ideas of time and space could convey into our own imagination of time and space. And we thought about working with sound because this space has been created for congregation and sound. And that could be a good way to actually go along the space and navigate, with the wind in our back so that we could go faster and meet. It's an exercise in communication in between two communities that are very far away, those in the Pacific and those in Venice. And it's also an exercise in thinking and imagining the voices of the past embodied in the present in the space of the ocean space here. I hope to inspire in the visitors a sense of contemplation and I believe Ocean Space has created an incredible place for reflection already. People are always talking about expanding territories and maximizing actions through technology. I thought it would be really nice to expand something that has no entity, like the soul, that is an imagination. I hope to inspire a sense of deep listening. I'd like to offer this experience to people that I've never met, who may never come to the Pacific Ocean. It's an invitation to create friendship.
So that was the work that we were doing back in 2021 in Venice in our venue. And imagine that now with this kind of being installed, there was another wave of lockdowns coming due to Omicron, and we were unable to show the work and to open as we wanted. And even the artist itself, she could not come for the opening, and we were able to open only for a very small local audience. So we started to think how to translate this beautiful work and concepts behind into digital space, and how we could share this project with those who are unable to travel or who cannot experience it in person. And also, next to the traditional documentation, we really wanted to bring this aspect of dialogue, of interaction, of listening into kind of flat and 2D screens. So maybe I will show you what we created. It's basically a special interface where you can land on the Ocean Archive, and it's inviting you kind of to participate, have a dialogue, because everything on the island was about answer and the call. So we were asking the users to somehow interact before they could enter the actual work. So they were asked to kind of using their voice, tell the story, sing, speak, shout out. And that would be a moment when they would kind of enter the island of Bougainville, and they could experience the piece of Taloy Habini in a slightly different way, different perspective. So here you can see the island, and with the several spots that you could explore. There are 22 elements that are corresponding to 22 channel sound installation that was presented in Ocean Space in Venice. And you can see that it's a combination of some readings, imagery, listenings, behind the scenes, how the work was produced, or something that we called experience. So you can see that there were like a different moments how you could enter the work of Toloi Habine. There were also moments that you could listen the piece that was played in the ocean space, that you could see some images, and every visitor could then kind of experience the work in their own pace and the way. So that was example of one project that we did, and now I would move to another chapter, another use case that is focused on the 3 years research project by Turtle Agency, and that was established by the architects and urbanist John Palmazzino and Anne-Sophie Renskong, homing in on critical ocean literacy via cartographic data-driven representations, and followed by a project by Carl Michael von Haushof entitled Freakwave, which is a collaborative sound project that brought a community of 84 sound artists together and conceptually extended the work of Oceans in Transformations. I will play you 1 minute video. It's the last one, that you would also visit the ocean space and see a bit from that installation.
Territorial Agency has been investigating the Anthropocene, the age of the transformation of the planet, for about the past decade or more, trying to contribute to the amount of knowledge produced by various scholars about this particular age and the transformations it brings about. Oceans in Transformation is an attempt to unravel the mechanisms of transformations on the planet from an oceanic point of view, meaning looking at the Anthropocene from the oceans. And in order to do that, they have both developed an aesthetic representation, but also a conceptual repertoire, because it is the ideas, the understanding, the ways of knowing that perhaps also lead us to a better safeguarding of the ocean in our future.
That was our curator, Daniela Ziemann. Yeah, as he said, Oceans and Transformations is a project that indicates how fragmented and incoherent the knowledge of the ocean still is. And this project found that the way we understand the ocean really often lacks nuance and complexity. So this vast research comprises 7 geographical trajectories that were defined by Turtle Agency, following 7 seas, but also looking at this kind of research, also taking it from another perspective and offering alternative approach, sensing through the oceans, so through the anthropogenic drivers, such as sea level rise, overfishing, shipment and transportation, algae bloom, coastal urbanization. And they stress out the importance to look at it in a more holistic way to really understand the complexity and scale of what is happening to the ocean. So that's also kind of example of this oceanic thinking, that you don't really have this one focus point, but you're really trying to understand it from many perspectives. What is also very important in their work is this special visual representation that is, again, using some aesthetics that's very appealing. So for instance, this project was then kind of featured and presented in a few conferences, for instance, in UN conference in Lisbon, where the moment when you bring project like this to policymakers, it suddenly also really brings a strong agency and urgency to act, because you can really see it, can see the scale. But then again, pandemic came and everything was closed, and we were again not able to present everything and to meet. So we were going through several online gatherings that were under intensified conditions. And so we have started collaboration with an open research community of ocean thinkers and practitioners in the course of 2020. And this community came together to convene on the proposal of Territorial Agency, how art can recombine the fragmented knowledges which investigates this rapidly changing global ocean. And the online presentation of the project was designed to complement these issues illustrated in the cartographic portion of the exhibition and to guide the users through this complexity. We really gathered quite vast knowledge because we made over 60 hours of recorded material. There was the whole fellowship program kind of running parallel to the project. And we had kind of as a speakers, 66 experts. And I can share with you here. It's kind of on the Ocean Archive. You could find the project. And as I mentioned, you can either follow the project through these trajectories, so you can see all these visual representations, or you can also look at it from this point of view of anthropogenic drivers. There are also all the recordings of these messy studios. There was this format when we were meeting online, and many more. It's really quite impressive material and such a vast research that I really invite everybody to have a look closely if you were interested in that. The another beautiful project that I wanted to share with you is Freakwave, because that's a project that kind of has nothing to do, originally had nothing to do with Territorial Agency and Oceans and Transformations, but as we were meeting Carbon Microphone Household and we were discussing how we could unfold this project also online digitally, we decided to kind of expand on the research of Territorial Agency and follow these geographical trajectories that they defined. And yeah, community of 84 really world-renowned sound artists, bioacoustic experts and composers were invited to explore the frequencies of the ocean and in an interactive virtual mixing decks. So I would maybe also show you here. I have it already open. So you can basically for every defined sea, you can kind of explore what these artists put together. But there is one kind of big meta mixer that you can really play and you can explore on your own. You just maybe I will share with you in the chat direct link, and then you can play this for you because it's really, really beautiful. And these artists were kind of selected either where they are based, so that they would be kind of also according to these geographical regions, or if they had any connection to that part of the ocean. So I really recommend you can just tap it like this and play on your own. So I will share with you then the details in the chat. To move kind of a third case is how we are trying to animate the ocean, because our approach to Ocean Archive, this living global ocean source of blue knowledge we built, and how we can embrace and feed within individual and collective artistic, curatorial, or scientific practices. I will show you now a bit scary diagram. But it's depicting how we are actually working with the produced knowledge and content that we do. You can see here content of curated production. That's something that's coming from us, and this is the way how we work, because we usually we have some curatorial research framework. Then we invite artists to further elaborate and create some artworks that is then being again extended by, for instance, fellowship or another type of research. And altogether we are creating some program, some content that then what is crucial for our digital work is then how we are going to mediate this content, not to just put it somewhere online and then deadly have it there sleeping. So we really are trying not to only put it somewhere on the archive and the database, but we are also trying to put new narratives into these items that are being archived. And then we, as you can see here, but it's something that I'll show you in a bit, we are trying to mediate it through like a learning initiative called Ocean Uni, and then further being discussed and kind of lived by the ocean community, who is subsequently again contributing new content. So we are kind of supporting them to also become part of this content and knowledge production together with us. So here I can, I just want to mention that we have this ever-growing database of ocean knowledge. And as I mentioned, this platform is open, so everybody can contribute. And of course, we are the biggest contributors at this moment, because it's also our digital venue, but we have around 180 active contributors. So you can find not only work from us, but also from any ocean professionals, ocean freaks and enthusiasts. And we have also inviting digital residents who are kind of coming to explore and reinterpret like a depth of the material we have on the archive. And just that you understand, everything what's on the archive is kind of made for a modular system. So it's not, it means that if I come as an external contributor, I can also use contact of somebody else who uploaded before me, and I will just bring new narrative, kind of my interpretation of the works. For that are also helping us stories, because that's something that help us navigate these many currents of the content on the platform. And by adding narratives, to the items, that helps us, because if you have a database when you have like 10,000 items, it's sometimes quite difficult and intense to really get oriented. So we've developed stories to really help us to get oriented. Together with that thinking, we also realized that the ocean has really great potential to become a space of knowledge exchange and mutual learning for different knowledge systems. And we were also thinking that there must be some space out of traditional academia that could help to create awareness and provoke changes through the transdisciplinary research we are doing and unexpected storytelling or artistic imagination, which led us to create something we called Ocean Uni. And it is an art, activism, law, science, learning initiative, which is free, online, and open to general public, as well as to students of our academic partners. And the curriculum invites fluid thinking with the ocean as a way to move forward more to ambiguous actions and beyond the binaries of land and sea. It's a pedagogic program that is designed to activate digital content and mobilize critical ocean literacy. It really tries to bridge this gap between academia and the wider public. And it's a moment in which community comes together. It's a digital space where people get to know each other and create new interactions, also independently from us. And through this program, past content gets activated while new connections and new acquisitions are being made. And through the semester, we also have like a different formats that cater different audience. So some is a bit more classic lecture style. For some other audience, it's a bit more intense, small scale workshops that are really for the dedicated audience that is kind of following more on a deeper level the program. And altogether, it forms a really dedicated audience. It's creating long-lasting engagement, and it's an experiment in critical ocean literacy. I'm just now showing you, because we are going to release a new semester now on the 5th of October, and it's entitled Studies in Blue Agency, 6 Global Tales Against Eco-Anxiety, that looks at the localized case studies, expanding them globally, looking at agency as an antidote to eco-anxiety and a force for systemic change. And what you can see is just like a beautiful I found it beautiful animation that our graphic designer made for one of the sessions that will be dedicated to deep sea mining. So here you can just see that kind of what modules we've so far created. Everything is being archived, but we always have like a live moment. So now we are going to do this Blue Agency, and yeah, it's happening live and online via Zoom. Then we have the Ocean community that serves as an extended classroom by the live program, and on the archive we have all the repository of the knowledge. Yeah, as I mentioned, community. While going through the first year of Ocean Uni, or first year and a half, we've noticed that there is a demand to gather also beyond the classes. Because when we had like a last session of the semester, everybody was very emotional and everybody felt very touched, and they kind of were sorry that now there will be a break between May and October. And when we reconvene again in October, there were really people that were, including also our team, that were really touched in a way that they were almost crying, how happy they felt that we kind of met again. And we thought that we can do more than just wave at each other across the digital ocean, and that we can create a space for collaboration where like news can be shared, ideas can be expressed. And so we decided to design the community and community platform, online platform. And we were asking ourselves, why do we want to remove this barrier between the institution and kind of the passive audience? And then we came to kind of clear answer, because we really want to develop something like a research community, that it's not us doing some research and being broadcasting this research, but that we really kind of co-create it together with the like-minded people. And, you know, also many can feel overwhelmed when it comes to ocean issues and ocean research, because it's can kind of remind like swimming in the dark. But if you feel you're not alone, you suddenly feel empowered. And we really felt committed to supporting individual agency of members and show them that they are not alone, and that we can kind of join forces against the climate change. I'll briefly show you the platform itself. So this is how it looks. You can go and see the members. Currently, we have something like 800 members. You can also search who is kind of near you, or who is currently being online. You can see if somebody is there. There are some people online. You can read about the ocean community, why we are actually doing it, what's the purpose, and you can also explore certain topics that members are interested in. You can see the events. Every member can also contribute their events, and there are actually monthly gatherings that are organized by members for the members. And there are also several groups that members are creating to kind of gather and then discuss collaboration or doing things together. There is also space for Ocean Uni, because I mentioned that it's kind of extended classroom. And so you can also see the kind of archived previous semesters, and yeah, you can always go see the see the syllabus or then kind of activity feed that was happening. I think, yeah, here you can see that we had, I think there is a nice picture of, if it will load now, that we had one workshop on a body. And so there were participants were dancing. Yeah, so this is our ocean community. And maybe back to ocean and ocean literacy, because I was mentioning that that's one of our goals, to embrace it. So how our work fits along the idea of ocean literacy. I don't know if you know ocean literacy concept or not, but it has been developed by marine researchers all over the world and being adopted and supported by UNESCO. In short, it means understanding of the ocean influence on us and our influence on the ocean through these principles that you can see below here. But when it comes to critical ocean literacy, what does it mean? It's that we try to push the concept of ocean literacy to become more critical. And that means that we use it to as a lens to ask what each of these principles means in specific social or cultural circumstances, and ask deeper questions. Who is heard? Who is included in the conversations? Because I am not talking only about some unheard, marginalized communities, but also, for instance, animals, plants, who can speak and at what forum. And what does it mean for us as an institution is that we really believe that our digital ecosystem is an experiment in critical ocean literacy, because altogether it's tried to open up discussions and space for our collaborative research community, regardless field, background, or affiliation. And we really think that ocean is our meeting place, free space to explore, express, and share what it means for us now and in the future. And here I would just share with you like a few nice quotes that we got from our ocean community members, because some of them are really kind of empowering also for us. It's brought me solidarity and energy. I love reading the articles, peers dialogues, live connections and opportunities. Or for instance, it was exactly what I needed. Just became a mother, so I had a very little time, also couldn't go anywhere. And to have the possibility to spend time with such an incredible group of people, with such a quality of lectures and meetings, I'm so grateful. Yeah, so that was just like an example. And yeah, so why think oceanically? We probably know that the ocean covers 80% of this planet, and it is the biggest ally in climate change mitigation. But ocean is not only a theme or a subject, it is also a way of thinking, it is a perspective. So we can expand oceanic thinking to other bodies of water. We are also bodies of water. We are also salty as the sea. We are 70% of water. And as I said at the beginning, the ocean demands a different state of mind. And as well as our more and more complex and globalized world really is asking for like transdisciplinary approach for finding new solutions, new answers. And thinking wide and have diversified attention. By losing this focal attention, we can really become more oceanic. We can go beyond binary thinking, and we can really kind of think more boundariesless. And that can also change our perception of boundaries. If you would like to think something away, there is something like a 5-step guide, how you can think oceanically. So it's water your ways of thinking, approach the world with curiosity and play, build kindships with yourself, with others, with nature, listen, but love anyway, don't expect always something to come back, and invite nature as a collaborator and leave behind more than you take. So there is like for us, it's very important aspect of regenerative approach. Yeah, and that was my final point, which is like to tell you that I'm going to share with you also something called like a digital gift bag. There are some recommendations for reading, dancing, and listening in the oceanic way, and as well as the treasure hunt game for the Ocean Archive. And for the 3 fastest hunters, we will send you a book of your choice from our production, and we will also highlight either your profile or your project or some initiative that you would like through our social media. Yeah, so thank you very much for listening. Stay in touch, and if you have any questions, I'm here.
Oops. All right. Thank you so much, Petra. This was wonderful. Lisa, we're going to do some questions now. And we have one question to Q&A already, but I'd like to ask you all to add questions to the Q&A as we get some answers in. And Anna Maya and Julie, if you have any questions you want to add as well, of course, please go ahead. So that was a great talk, Petra. Thank you so much. And we got a sense of the wide range of things you do. And I end up walking away thinking, that the ocean is a perfect symbol of how connected we are. We often say there's oceans between us, and that's a symbol of distance, right? But actually, the fact that we're all connected by the ocean is also a symbol of connectivity and closeness, and how we have a kind of a common ground in there. And there was one very, very good question here by Wesley Zhang, and I can read the question out for you, Wesley, and it's going to be something like this. How did you become emotionally attached to the ocean, Petra, if you grew up with very little access to the ocean? And what do you think is the biggest challenge in ocean conservation? Thank you.
Yeah, I think for me personally, it's really interesting because I have one more colleague that is also from the middle of Europe, kind of in the similar situation, and we were just discussing that it's at the beginning it took some time, it was not immediate, and we kind of had to get to it. We had to get into the topic and really understand the connection with the ocean, and really change our way of thinking about it, really change our perspective. But suddenly something happened, and now we are almost getting like ocean sick, like if somebody is like abroad and you don't have the possibility to go home, you are homesick. And we suddenly feel that, okay, if we are here in the middle of Europe, we really need ocean. We really miss that space. We miss that feeling. So I think it probably became because I started to think differently, because as I was kind of trying to demonstrate this oceanic thinking, understanding that we are all bodies of water, that we are exactly, as you mentioned, this connectivity. And then you realize you are actually maybe geographically far, but you are not really, conceptually, you're really not far. So I think that's my answer to the first part of the question. And the second one was...
What was the biggest challenge in ocean conservation that you're aware of?
Yeah, I think it's probably this disconnection that people have, because it's it's sometimes too conceptual, and to really, it's too vague for them, too complex, maybe rather too complex to really understand the ocean a bit better, or to have this relationship. So I think that's maybe the biggest issue. And the other one is also, and that's reason why we, for instance, do what we are doing, that there are many things that if scientists are kind of trying to share some findings, or some research, it's very often not done in a way that is, I don't want to say attractive, but maybe not digestible for the broader audience. And that's what we believe that art could actually change, that we could offer alternative ways how to look at the ocean and the ocean conservation.
I appreciate that answer, and you answered very much from a culture perspective. And now maybe more from a science perspective, what do you think is actually the most urgent call to action? Is it cleaning up the plastic in the ocean? Is it worrying about temperature rise? Is it worrying about floods? What along those lines, what is concretely the most urgent thing in terms of conservation? And we have lots of other questions coming as well. So just briefly, what do you think is the number one challenge?
All of them. I think the most immediate thing is start to do anything. Any of these what you mentioned, any little action. It really starts with everybody at home. That's why I also said that this community is important, because when all others can hear about the other stories, that empowers you, because you really can make a change. And so do whatever, the first thing that you think is important, just do it.
Well, I picked up my ocean-bound plastic today on my way to work, but what current projects, Catherine Zhang asks, what current projects for ocean cleanup do you think have a serious potential to have a positive impact? And in a way, you've already addressed this question, but again, for Catherine, what current projects have the greatest impact?
Yeah, I would kind of probably repeat myself. I'm not sure if I would tell you like one specific, so I think any of them are important.
So whatever you can do it. I like that answer. Okay, so Isabel asks a very interesting question. That's Isabel Prasad. And she says, have you guys ever encountered any backlash backlash for your creative advocacy? Are there any people who say, we must shut down this TVA 21, they're causing nothing but problems, and we need to get them to go away?
I think not yet. Not yet, but we are very much being involved like more and more in deep sea mining. And I think that's something where, we would like to, in general, as an artist organization, we would like to act as a facilitator, because we believe in this power of art to bring various people to one or parties to one table and have some discussion. And that's very important for us. So we don't want to have in a kind of a position that we are too radical, that people don't want to speak with us, or that there would be no dialogue. But of course, that there are some moments that we just cannot also not have any position, as I mentioned, for instance, deep sea mining. So we would also not be collaborating or promoting, certain companies' activities, and that could be maybe a bit unpleasant. But until now, I don't think that somebody would like to shut us down.
Okay. So, Lisa, go ahead.
I have to go run off to get to campus to teach. So I wanted to just put my question here, and I want to give you my heartfelt thanks for your wonderful and inspiring presentation. I wrote it in the chat too. I was really moved by that section where that animated creatures were on the seafloor, and that kind of call to create performance works that respond to people's stress around climate and action. And there's something interesting here, kind of a tug between art that kind of can be seen often and diminished as just a distraction from reality. But there's also a way in which, when we face such what feels like insurmountable inaction, that art can also help people survive. And I wonder if you could speak to that tension. And then my last question would be, is there a threshold that your projects have to meet so that they are not polluting? And then I'm gonna I'll listen offline, and thank you so much.
Could you reformulate the second part? I'm not sure that I understood exactly what you mean.
Do you have a threshold, like do you have when a person has a project or an artist has a project, do you require that they be not polluting in their materials that they use, or the energy that they're using, or some sort of baseline that you would expect to be in line with your mission?
Okay, so maybe I'll start here. It's also kind of sometimes question for us, so it's that we cannot demand something from our partners, collaborators. If we are, for instance, we are having an ocean archive, which is an online platform that is an online database hosting a lot of data, and then we build it, and then we realize, it's actually quite heavy platform that is not the best in terms of carbon footprint. So we are also, in our case, looking for solutions and changes, that what we are saying, it's not just what we are, kind of publicly mentioning, but that we are also living these values. So yes, we have some boundaries that we don't go over, also with our collaborators. But yeah, it's not that we would have really kind of like a policy, or that we would have some 10 steps that we really require. And to your first point, if I remember well, we basically want really to promote care and help, and we want hope, and we want to do it. We don't want to only scare people, because if there is anything related to climate change, it's very heavy, it's quite depressive, it's really tough. And we don't want to scare more, because the more we scare, the more we paralyze. And the more people will be, okay, I don't want to hear about this, I don't want to be part of it. So we want to, that's for instance, the reason why we do Ocean Uni now, and it's like Tales Against Eco-Anxiety, where we want to really showcases of projects that were really meaningful, that had impact, and that had some change, positive change. And that's really important for us, at least to offer some alternative and hope.
Along those lines, Linnea had a question, and there's a couple more here. If you have some more time, I know it's very late where you are now, it's almost midnight, so I really appreciate you hanging in there with us. And so as bodies of water ourselves, Linnea Mo asks, do you think we are directly impacted by the health of the ocean, like if we have an almost spiritual bond? And I'm just reading that in Hobart, Australia, there's a pod of 200 whales that beached themselves, and only 35 survived. And when I read that, I can somehow feel it in my stomach. It doesn't feel good. And so maybe that's one of the things that Linnea is addressing, right? This direct feeling of like visceral connection to the ocean, if we're ocean-like.
I'm personally convinced we do. You know, I like yoga, I like meditation, so I'm a little bit into spiritual practices on my own as well. But I think it's also quite common that people have these really kind of anxious feelings, and you know, it's something that you cannot really describe, but you are just really feeling incredible sadness, you know, because when you see what's happening, and I don't think it's just that you are reading the news and you are affected by that at the moment. I really think that we, as I mentioned, as we are we are kind of all connected. I really think that there is something kind of beyond what I can explain. Yeah, so I think it's the case.
So one more question. Would you mind elaborating on the influences that an artistic approach to understanding the ocean have on conserving the ocean? So specifically, do you have any examples where you could show that something that TVA 21 did actually led to a change in policy somewhere, or, you know, some really direct cause and effect? I mean, and many of the things you already described are much more general, that, and I understand and appreciate that. But I think the question is there an example of direct impact?
Yes, I'm sure we have. I'm just thinking if there is something very specific I could tell you, but for instance, we are in our institution, and as you could see in the first video, there is like a seabed authority in Jamaica, and that's something that we are really the first art organization ever that was invited to kind of to the discussion, to the table, you know, and now we are really making like official interventions, and we are really being heard by these policymakers. And that's, I believe, something that somebody recognized what we are doing, and then they invited us, and now we can influence the way how they think, how they speak. Or
so you're saying that you're creating opportunities for artists and thinkers and dream poets to be at the table where the policies are being developed. And I think that's a very important answer. That simply being part of that conversation and making sure that a broad set of thoughts are present in those conversations is really important. There should be an artist on every ocean panel. I agree. and I think we're good for today. Actually, just daily practices. Tara Kulshrestha is asking us, how can we incorporate ocean conservation efforts into our daily practices, into our lives, into our daily? So what's something that you might, even in Vienna, I don't know if you can do anything there, but what can we do? We live by the coast right here. And so any advice for what we can do in our daily practices, apart from going?
Of course you can, you know, it's it doesn't mean that you need to stand next to the ocean and then kind of doing something directly there, because the ocean is being affected by everything that we are doing, you know. So like the whole climate change, it's not just that the ocean conservation is something separate. So it really starts with everything that you do, the way how you consume, the way how you live. I would say for me personally, I'm really now into like a degrowth and the regeneration. And that's something that I want to incorporate in everything I do. So slow down, to slow down, to really think what I'm buying, what I'm consuming, what my waste is, you know, and kind of really always think because I really don't like this exponential growth. So I'm really thinking, okay, I need to slow down, you need to degrowth, promote the degrowth, and really regeneration.
Yeah. That sounds great. I think that it's most radical thing you can think of is to do less of something, or to slow down.
And it's not easy, you know, it's not easy. It's something that we, for instance, with working with indigenous artists and practitioners, we wanted to collaborate, and we were like, okay, so this is what we will do tomorrow, next week, you know, and I was like, no, this is not how we work, you know, we just take time, and maybe it will be months, maybe it will be a year, maybe 10 years, but we kind of, it's not, we are really in our kind of Western part, we are really produce, consume, more, and I think it's to slow down is a good thing to start with.
Yeah, that's a really good point to end on, and we'll do that. And maybe we can use the chat to write some comments. One question was on my mind is how many days since we've last been at the ocean? And could you all, if you're still in the chat, could you all type in the number of days elapsed since you were last at the ocean? Because I'd love to know that, and maybe that's a way to thank you for your wonderful talk with a little bit of data. And so Gabriel says 3 days. I have to say it's been 3 days for me as well. And 30 days for Asher, 17 days, Labor Day, 3 weeks, 2 months, and like 100 days. And I'm trying to type in my book, the keyboard doesn't work anymore. Okay, a week, 2 months, but that tells you that we were there and we remember. And so it's a memorable experience, even if it's been 100 days ago. And that is actually beautiful. So Tara comes in with 2 months, and Anamaya with 2 weeks, and Brianna with 1 month. And all these are ways of saying thank you for a wonderful talk. And so we hope to be in touch, and we'll follow up with you about the treasure hunt, and we'll get email from you about where to start. And thank you so much for advocating on behalf of the ocean with us, and for explaining the mission of your community that you're building so effectively. So with that,
thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, let's stay in touch and let's do more. And maybe even there's some way we can have your Ocean Uni become something that we can do for credit. You know, we can send our students there to take classes for credit.
Absolutely. I will maybe share with you also in the chat that you can have a look at the open call.
Yeah.
So there is a program description, and yeah, absolutely. Let's speak about it. We would be happy to have your students with us. And I'm very much looking forward if we will get some treasure hunters finding the.
We'll go in there. We'll take a look. Thank you so much. Have a great evening, and
thank you very much
for joining us, and to all our students and audience, thanks for joining. It was really, really great to see you all here, and we'll have this recorded for the future. So we have lots to do, and also you shared your slides already, and I really appreciate that. Very generous. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. And thanks for all your comments. That's wonderful. Bye. Take care.